What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? I see we got some people in here already. That's right, D. No cussing. That especially goes to you, goes for you. Oh my goodness! If y'all are joining me, if you're joining me, I should say thank you for joining me this evening on episode 9 of Any Questions? Let me just say, first off, I apologize for the delay. I've been having a delay with StreamYard for the last couple of weeks, ever since they had a minor issue. So I know that how my motion of my video and my voice is not necessarily in sync. I have no idea what to do about that, because everything is in sync until I click go live. Like before I go live, everything is in sync, and then I go live and then everything is off, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So I will be contacting them. So let me just apologize for that, but I'm really here in real time. It's just a delay. Now back to my welcome. Okay, so today we're supposed to continue looking at building chords in the key of C, and I also want to start building chords in another key. So we're going to jump to the key of F today, because I want y'all to realize that the same formula that I use to build all these chords in the key of C can be used in every single key, every single scale. And this is your starting ground to being able to become the piano player that you want to be. Okay, one thing you need to learn is your major scales, and I've already gone over several times. I gave you a formula that you can use that will help you figure out every single major scale, and I'll briefly go over it again tonight. But if you know your major scale, if you can figure out that major scale, from that major scale you can figure out pretty much how to play every single chord. The major chord, the minor chord, the dominant chord, the major 7, major 9, 11, 13, flat 5, fully diminished, the sus chord, all that, just because you know the scale of that key. So all right, so last week I think we stopped on flat 5 and fully diminished chords. And I said that this week I was going to introduce the ninth chords. Okay, so before I do that, I want to do a quick review of everything that we've done up to this point, just in case this is your first time joining us. Okay, if you have any questions, I will take your questions. Don't worry, I will take your questions, but I'm just going to go ahead on and do the lesson first. So don't necessarily, you might not want to type your questions over in that chat box yet, because it's going to be hard to scroll and find it. So just wait till I'm finished this lesson. Then if you have a question, go ahead on. I'll ask you to type your question. And if you would like to actually jump on this video with me and ask your question that way, so that we can go back and forth and, get a full answer. Maybe, you might have another question that go, to keep, so that you fully understand. Feel free to hop on. There's a link in the chat room, and I will post the link one more time. I'll do it again, and I'll do it throughout this live stream. Just remember that if you come on this live stream, please, no cursing, please. I just wanted to make sure that the link, the link, I know that showed up as 2 different messages, but the link should still be there. So, okay. All right, cool. That's enough talking. We're going to go ahead on and jump into the lessons. So let's review everything that we've done so far. So first thing that I showed you was the formula on how to build a major scale with any key. So let me put my little formula on the screen right there. Okay, there we go. So, and let me make my piano a little bit bigger for you. There you go. All right, so I'm going to play the notes up here because if I play them down there, you can't see what I'm playing, okay? So that's the reason why I'm playing them up here, but it's the same philosophy, right? Okay, so you see on your screen right there, it says whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So that's just that stands for whole steps and half steps, okay? If you don't know the difference between a whole step and a half step, it's pretty simple. I'm going to explain it to you in a very simple way. So here we go. We're on the key of C right here. If I move from C and I move to the very next note to my right, you'll see that I'm on C sharp, or you can call it D flat, right? When I move from one note and I do not skip a note but move to the very next note, that is known as a half step, also known as a semitone, okay? So that's a half step. So obviously if I skip that note and I move to the next note, that's called a whole step, okay? So C to D, that's a whole step. C to D flat, that's a half step, okay? Half step, whole step. There you go. That lesson is done, right? So now you know the difference between whole steps and half steps. Now let's take that whole step and half step and put them together in order to build a major scale. So if you look at what I have on the screen, it says whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So in the key of C, what you want to do is you want to go ahead on and play your I'm sorry, I was hitting the wrong one. So what you want to do is play the C first, okay? So we want to do the C major scale. Okay, hold down C, and then what you want to do is move a whole step, right? So that means that's your second note, right? Now you want to move another whole step, right? Whole, whole. Now you want to move a half step, right? So E to F. See, that's a half step because there is no black note in between E to F. So E to F is a half step. So far we have whole, whole, half. Then you move another whole step, whole step, whole step, and then you end on a half step. Now, everyone probably already know the C major scale by memory because it's just easy. But I wanted to show it to you and see because it's easy. Now, let me show you how that works in another key. Let's say you're doing the key of B flat, right? You can use that exact same formula. If you start on B flat, go ahead and play your B flat, then move a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, and then half step. So that's your B flat major scale. And you can do that with every single key, okay? Now, whatever scale that, or should I say, whatever key you want to start learning the chords in, you can easily figure out that scale without cheating by going to Google and just printing out a list. You can literally say, you know what? To help me memorize it, I'm going to sit down and figure it out myself and write it down myself, just using that formula, okay? So, all right, so that's that formula. Like I said, I spent a lot of time in detail going over this in previous episodes, so feel free to look at some of the early episodes if you need more instruction with building major scales, half steps, and whole steps. It's a few episodes ago, okay? Okay, now that we have that, with your scale, the first note of your scale is always considered the 1, right? Oh, I can come down here now because that thing is off the screen. Okay, so if you're in the key of C, C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F is 4, G is 5, A is 6, B is 7, then you're back on 1. And when you're doing extended chords like your 9th chords, 11th chords, and 13th chords, you want to go ahead on, and once you hit that 7, in your mind, you can think of C as 8. We don't call it an 8th, but in your mind, you can think of it as an 8th and then say, okay, so that makes D a 9. You can think of E as a 10th, even though we don't call anything a 10th, but just so that for counting purposes, think of that as a 10, which will make your F an 11, For counting purposes, just think of G as 12, just for counting purposes, but we don't call a note a 12th. And then A will be your 13th, okay? We don't do 14ths. There's no 14ths in music, okay? So when you break that down, you have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and then you're back at 1 again, okay? Again, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and then you start over again, 1, 3, 5, so and so and so forth, up and down the piano. Okay, now with those numbers, to build a major chord, you always want to play the first note of the scale, the third note of the scale, and the fifth note of the scale at the same time. That will give you a major chord. So if you're just learning the key of C, you can say, well, C is the 1. Well, D is 2, so I can skip that one. E is 3, okay. F is 4. He said 1, 3, 5, so forget about that one. And G is the fifth note, so there you go, right? 1, 3, 5, right? There you go. So you have your major chord. That works every single time. Okay, so then if you want to turn that major chord into a minor chord, you take that third note of the scale, right? Remember, 1, 3, 5. E is the third note. Take it, drop it down a half step. Now you have a minor chord. So major, minor. For those that's just joining us, I'm doing a quick review. I've already went into full detail on these chords, but just in case you're just joining us, I just wanted to do a quick review. So that's how you build a major chord, minor chord. Now, if you want to do a major 7 chord, then you will just play the 1, the 3, the 5th, and the 7th note of the scale. Simple, right? 1, 3, 5, 7. That's your major 7. Now, if you want to play a C dominant 7 chord, then instead of playing the major 7th note, you want to take that 7th note, drop it down a half step. You drop it down a half step, now you have a C dominant 7 chord. Okay, and if you take the third note, which is the E, and you drop that down a half step as well, you now have a C minor 7, okay? Major 7, dominant 7, minor 7. Now let's get into the diminished chords. If you want to do a half diminished chord, that means you have to take the 5th note of your of that scale again, which is the G, right? And you're going to lower that a half step. When you lower that a half step, you'll have what is called C minor 7 flat 5. Whenever you see a chord that is a minor 7 chord flat 5, that is also known as half diminished. So this is a diminished chord, but it's only half diminished, okay? All right, and we made it half diminished by just taking a G, which was the 5th note, and we lowered that a half step. Well, if you want to make the chord a fully diminished chord, then you'll have to take that minor 7th, right? And you want to lower that a half step again. If you lower that a half step, now you have a fully diminished chord, okay? So let's review. Major 7. Now you have the dominant 7, minor 7, half diminished or flat 5, diminished, okay? Now, the other chords that I went over in previous episodes, let's go over that real quick, and then we're going to introduce the 9 chords, and then we're going to go out the key of C and jump into the key of F and do the same thing, okay? So, let's go back to the regular major chord just for a second. C major, right? 1, 3, 5th note of the scale. Okay. Now we have chords that are called sus4 chords and sus2 chords. Okay. So if you're looking at my chord sheet, let's say you purchased one of my chord sheets, or you bought some sheet music and you're reading the chords that's on there, and you see something that says C sus4. All you have to do to make a chord suspended is, once again, you take the 3rd note of the scale, which is E, right? Remember, in the key of C, C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, right? Take that 3rd, raise it up a half step. When you take it up a half step, now you have what is called a sus 4 chord, okay? So now you have C sus 4, okay? Now sometimes you'll see chords and it says C sus 2, okay? Now for C sus 2, that simply means you play the first note of the scale, the second note of the scale, and the fifth note of the scale. There you go. Now you have a sus 2. So now you sus 4, sus 2, and just your regular major chord again. Now let me tell you this, when you're reading a lot of professional sheet music, and I have plenty of sheet music and sheet music books, when the composer wants you to play a sus 4 chord, you will normally see it written simply as C sus with no number next to it. Whenever you see something written as just a sus with no number written next to it, always assume that it is a sus 4 chord, okay, and not a sus 2 chord, okay? And when they want you to play a sus 2 chord, they always write C sus 2. Keep that in mind. All right. And the other thing, okay, now a regular diminished chord, we're going to look at regular diminished chords and regular augmented chords real quick. And then I'm going to introduce our ninth chords, okay? Our ninth chord. So here's your C major chord. Again, I'm sure all of you know what a C major chord is already. Now, if you want to just do a regular C diminished chord, what you're going to have to do is you're going to take the third, the E, right? And you're going to lower that a half step. So you go minor first, then you take that fifth note and you lower that a half step as well. When you do that, now you just have a regular diminished chord. So, So here you go. That's your diminished 7 chord. C diminished and then C diminished 7th. What's the difference between C diminished and C diminished 7th? You're just adding the 7th. You're adding the diminished 7th note on top. That's all. That's the difference. So if you don't play the A, it's just a diminished chord. If you play the A, which is the diminished, is actually B double flat is probably how you really want to review it, because B is your 7th. That's your major 7th. This is your minor 7. So this is double flat. So this is actually B double flat, but you can call it A. I won't tell, okay? Now, if you was taking my music theory class and you wrote as A, I might, take half points off. But for purposes of this live stream, I'll let you get away with it, okay? So there you go. So now you have so diminished 7, diminished, and another type of chord you will see is augmented chords. And an augmented chord is simply when you take that 5th note of the scale, which is G, right? C is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. G is the 5th note, and you raise it a half step to the right. Raise it a half step to the right, and there you go. You got your C augmented chord, okay? All right. I believe that covers everything that we've done in the past, all right? If you need, more detailed instruction in all those type of chords, then just look at my previous episodes. Just go on my channel. I spent way more time. That was still a lot of time, but trust me, I spent a whole lot more time. Okay, now we're going to introduce ninth chords. All right, so a ninth chord, a major 9 chord. I bet you'll never guess what you have to do to make a major 9 chord. Let's see. You play the first note of the scale, the 3rd note of the scale, the 5th note of the scale, the 7th note of the scale, and that makes it a major 7th. I wonder which note I have to play to make it a major 9. 1, 3, 5, 7. Which number should I play? Exactly, it's that simple. If you want to play a C major 9 chord, you just add that 9th. You add the 9th note of the scale. Remember, when you're dealing with extended chords, like when you're going beyond the 7th chords, your note that earlier we called D2, right? We said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But when you need to do extended chords, now you have to look at, after your 7, you want to look at the D as the 9th note, okay? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, okay? So there you go. So that's all you have to do for a major 9 chord, okay? Now, sometimes you will see something that says dominant 9, okay? It will say, you know, play a C dominant 9. Your C dominant 9 chord is nothing but you start with the C dominant 7. You should already know how to play the C dominant 7 already, right? 1, 3, 5, 7 is your major 7. You take that major 7, you lower it a half step, that's dominant. Now just add the regular 9th note. If you just add the regular 9th note, that's all you have to do. So now you have a dominant 9 chord, okay? So now you have C dominant 9, okay? So major 9, dominant 9. Now, how do you make this a minor 9? Well, you already know how to do the minor 7, right? The minor 7 is the 1, then you take the 3rd, lower it a half step, the 5th, then take the 7th and lower it a half step, right? C minor 7. So all you have to do is start with the minor 7, and once again, just add the 9th. That's it. You don't have to do nothing special to the 9th. You don't have to make the 9th flat. You don't have to make it sharp. You just add the 9, and there you go. Now you have a C minor 9 chord. So C minor 7, C minor 9. And of course, if you drop this E flat down to C again, that's your C dominant 9, which was the 2nd chord that I showed you. So let me show you all of them again. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. That's your major 9 chord. If you take that 7th note, drop it down a half step, dominant 9. If you take the 3rd note of the scale and drop that down a half step, minor 9, okay? So there you go. It's that simple. Okay, so, and again, that formula works in every single key, okay? Every single key. All right, so we're going to stop right there on the 9th chords in the key of C. And what I want to do is go ahead on, because I've always pretty much stayed in C with every single episode. So what I want to do is show you how to use the same formulas that I've been teaching you and how it works in other keys. So let's jump to the key of F. So let's say you want to jump to the key of F, and let's say, oh man, I don't even remember what my F major scale is. Well, once again, you got this formula that I taught you, right? What you want to do is you start with F, right? Whatever scale you want to play, that's the note you start on. If you want to do an F major scale, you start on F. If you want to do an A major scale, you start on A. If you want to do a D major scale, you start on D. You get the point? Cool. Good. You got the point. All right. I knew y'all was smart. Okay. All right. So if you're struggling with your F major scale, all right, so what you do is you go ahead on and play your F first, and then you do that formula that I just posted on the screen. Whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, okay? And then you go back and you practice that. And just that easily, you have a major scale. You have your F major scale. Now, if you notice with that scale, a black note was included in that scale. Yes, the only keys that has, the only major scale, I'll say that because there's a minor scale that has no flats and sharps, but we're not talking about that. The only major scale that has no black keys in it, okay, no flats or no sharps, is the key of C. Every scale after that, every major scale, let me say that correctly, every major scale after that is going to contain at least one black note, okay? So again, so in the key of F, you got whole step, half step, B flat, okay? Then whole step, whole step, and then a half step again. So that's your F major scale. Now, let's start. Now that you got your scale, you know how to play the scale, you might want to write it down. Okay, write down F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. Beautiful. Now, let's take that same formula that I've been going over week after week after week, and let's use it in the key of F. So if you play the first, the third and the fifth note of the scale, you'll get the major chord, right? So in the key of F, F is 1, A is 3, C is 5, right? There you go. So now you have a F major chord. And just like in the key of C, if you take that third note, like which is A, and you drop it down a half step, now you have a minor chord. So there you go. F major, F minor, the exact same as C major, C minor, the same formula, I should say. Now, it's a different sound. It's not the same sound, but the formula is the exact same formula. Okay? Major, minor. Now, let's go into the major 7 chord. In the key of C, we said play the first, the third, the fifth, and the seventh note of the scale. Do the exact same thing in the key of F. F is 1, A is the third note, C is the fifth note, E is the seventh note. 1, 3, 5, 7. You play all those notes together, you have your major 7 chord. Okay. Now let's go back to the 3-finger chord for right now, because I want to go through all the different 3-finger chords first. I probably should do that, and then I'll go back to the 7th chord. Okay. So going back to the F major chord. And okay, I already showed you minor. So since I showed you F minor already, what do you have to do to make this a diminished chord? We already have the minor. So to turn this into a F diminished chord, you take the 5th note of the scale and you lower that a half step as well. Now you have a F diminished chord. Okay. So again, F major chord, right? 1, 3, 5. If you take the 3rd note of the F major scale, drop it a half step, you have minor. Take the 5th note, drop that down a half step. Now you have diminished. So now you have F major, minor, diminished. Okay, let's talk about that F augmented chord. You do the same thing that you did in the key of C. You take the 5th note of your F scale, which is C, and you raise it a half step. Now you have a F augmented chord, okay? F major, F augmented, okay? The exact same formula as the key of C. Now, you might be looking at some sheet music, or you might purchase one of my chord sheets, or you're looking at one of my tutorials and I say, oh, play a F sus4 chord. Okay, same formula. For a sus4 chord, you're going to take the 3rd note of the F major scale, right, which is A, F, G, A, right? That's the 3rd note. Raise it a half step. Now you have a F sus4 chord, okay? F sus4. Then you can resolve it back to a F. Okay. You may see something that says play a F sus2 chord. The F sus2 chord is just the 1st note, the 2nd note of the scale, and the 5th note, okay? Remember, the major chord is 1, 3, 5. So a suspended 2 is 1, 2, 5, okay? 1, 3, 5, 1, 2, 5, okay? Sus2 and sus4 chords are different chords. They're not necessarily meant to be interchangeable, okay? So that's your major, suspended 4, sus2, okay? So we did diminished and we did augmented as well. Okay, so now let's jump back to the 7th chords. I had went to the 7th chords kind of quickly, but we're going to go back to the 7th chord. So the major 7 chord, again, we'll just look at it again. The 1st note of the F scale, the 3rd note, the 5th note, and the 7th note, okay? So you play those 4 notes together, 1, 3, 5, 7, major 7. Okay. Now, what if you're reading one of my chord sheets, or you bought some sheet music and it says, nah, don't play a F major 7, play a F dominant 7. Okay, same formula. Take the 7th note of the scale, drop it down a half step. Now you have a F7 chord. And I didn't say this earlier. I've said it on my previous video, so let me say it now. When you're reading professional sheet music and chord sheets and stuff like that, you usually will not see the actual word dominant. Okay, if they want you to play a dominant chord, you'll simply see the name of the chord. Like in this case, it's a F chord, right? And then just the number next to it. If you look on the screen, that's exactly what you'll see written in most professional sheet music when they want a dominant 7. If they want you to play a major 7, they'll actually have it written out exactly the way you see it on the screen right there. It'll say F, usually it's a capital M, A, J, and then the number 7. So that's how you know when to play F major 7 or F dominant 7, okay? All right, so just thought I'd throw that out. So dominant is not written anywhere, okay? So, okay, let's get back to the lesson. So there, dominant 7. Now, if you're supposed to play a F minor 7, then that means once again, you're going to take that third note of the scale, right? F, G, A, that's 3, and drop it down a half step. Now you have F minor 7. If you remember the F major chord, we had F, A, C, and to make it minor, we took that A and dropped it down. So that was F minor. So now to make it a minor 7, you just add the minor 7th note. B is major 7, as you see on the screen. So B flat is what? The minor 7. Okay, so we got major 7, dominant 7, minor 7. But what if it says to play a F minor 7 flat 5? Okay, well, you start with the F minor 7 chord, take the 5th note of the scale and do exactly what that chord says. F minor 7 flat 5. Okay, play a F minor 7, take the 5, the 5th note, and play it flat. There you go. F minor 7 flat 5. You'll be surprised how I mean, you know, a lot of stuff is just that it's literally just following the directions of the chord. Play a F minor 7, but make your 5 flat. There you go. And remember, flat 5 is also known as half diminished. So this is a diminished chord. But when you're reading professional sheet music, sometimes it says just play a F dim 7, D-I-M, which is short for diminished. So if you need to do fully diminished, you take the 7th note, that minor 7, and you lower it another half step, okay? And then that gives you a F diminished 7 chord, okay? It's just as simple. So if you hopefully you're catching on, especially if you've been coming week after week. Hopefully you're understanding that that formula that I've been week after week telling you, there's a reason why I keep going over this formula, because that formula will teach you all of your chords. Once you learn the chords, it's up to you to practice playing those chords and get your little fingers, the little muscles in your fingers to get your muscles, what they call that, muscle memory, I think is what it's called. Yeah, get your little muscle memory. You know what I'm saying? That's up to you to take that time and to, do that. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. I'm tired of playing up there. I want to play it down here. Okay. So far we did the major 7, dominant 7, minor 7, diminished 7, right? Okay. So now, was that all the ones? Yeah, we did the flat 5. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we did all that. So if you need to play a F major 9 chord, then just like in the key of C, you play the 1st note, the 3rd note, the 5th note, the 7th note, and the 9th note of the F major scale. It's that simple. Okay. Just gotta switch so I can see. Okay. Sorry. So there you go. F major 9. It's that simple. Now, if it's requiring you to play a dominant 9, then start with the dominant 7. We already learned that this was the dominant 7, right? So play your dominant 7 and then just add the 9. Just add it naturally. You don't have to do nothing fancy to the 9. And there you go. You have an F9 chord. Major 9, dominant 9. And of course, if it's telling you to play a F minor 9 chord, then that means you have to take that 3rd note drop it down a half step. And there you go. You have a F minor 9 chord, okay? So it's really that simple. Hopefully this is really starting to make sense. And you're like, oh my goodness, this is really simple. I gave you a formula to figure out the major scale. Once you figure out the major scale, you just use this same technique for all of your chords. So did I go over all the ones I would? Yeah, dominant 9 and then the minor 9. That's all I wanted to do this time. Okay, so let's do one more key. Someone type a key in the chat. What key do you want me to do? I'm gonna let whatever is the first key. Don't say C and don't say F because I did those two keys. What key do you want to see me do right now? We're live right now. The first key that I see up on there, I will figure out that scale. I will show you how to figure out the scale, and I'll show you the chords right now. So I'm just waiting. Whatever is the key, just don't say C or F because I just did those two keys. So what key would you like for me to see this same formula? And then after that, I'll take your questions. Okay. Crane Style Production said A flat. Beautiful. I love the key of A flat. All right. Sorry, D. Scrogans, you said A sharp. Well, we will probably call that B flat. But you know what? I might do B flat too. I don't know. But let's do A flat. So I'm switching this to the key of A flat. The key signature A flat. Okay, now everybody trying to get their keys out there now. Who knows? Maybe I'll do all of them. I don't know. We'll see. All right, A flat. So let me put that formula. Let me just put the formula up there real quick. For the major scale, because the first thing you need to know, major scale first, right? So let me see. I gotta use this one so you can see. Yeah, you can see that, right? Okay. So once again, Pamela Green just laughing at all of us. Okay, I see how you doing, Pam. Just gonna laugh at all of us. Okay. All right. So you got your A flat. So again, let's figure out the A flat major scale. Remember, what's the first note of the A flat major scale? A flat, right? Okay, cool. Play the note. Now move a whole step. Move another whole step. Now move a half step. Move a whole step. Whole step. Whole step. Half step. Now, once you figure that out, if you didn't know that, you might want to write the notes down. Go ahead and write it down and then practice that. You don't have to show off like me. That wasn't really showing off. I should have did that better. But anyway, okay, now if you notice that scale actually used 4 different black notes in it, okay? So you're going to have to remember those black notes when you're building your chords, okay? So you had an A flat, we had a B flat, we had a D flat, and a E flat, okay? So please don't forget those flats when you're building chords. Okay, so now you wrote down your A flat scale. Beautiful. You are a smart person. You like, can't nobody tell me nothing because I know my A flat scale. That House of Jazz need to shut up. Okay, cool. Well, before I shut up, all right, let's take the A flat scale and let's build our chords. Okay, so remember our major chord is the 1, 3, and 5th note of the scale. So revisiting that scale, the first 5 notes of that scale, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the 1, this is the 3, and this is the 5. There you go. It's that simple. Now you have your A flat major chord. And the only thing you have to do to make it minor is to take the 3rd note, which is the C, drop it down a half step. Wow, it's the same formula, the same thing I did in the key of C. Remember, in the key of C, I just said take the 3rd note of the C scale. Boom. Same thing I did in the key of F, right? Take the 3rd note of the scale, drop it down. Okay, now we're in the key of A flat. Take the 3rd note of the scale. You see what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen? Learn your formula. Learn this formula. Okay. All right, so that's your minor chord. Now, if you want to do a suspended 4 chord, a suspended fourth. Well, you know what? No. Let's go back to the minor chord. Okay, so that's your minor chord. Now, if you want to make this a diminished chord, okay, you start with the minor chord and then you take the fifth note, which is the E flat, and you drop that down a half step as well. Now you have A flat diminished, okay? So major, minor, diminished, okay? So that's your diminished chord. Now let's talk about our sus4 and sus2 chord. Now remember, for the sus4 chord, you take the third note of the scale, which is C, right? 1, 2, 3, right? And raise it a half step. There you go. That's your sus4. And then you can resolve it by going back down to C. Okay. Now your sus2 chord is the 1, the 2, right? The second note, and the fifth note. So 1, 2, 5. There you go. Now you have your sus2 chord. Okay, so 4, sus2. There you go. Some of y'all are like, man, that will make a nice song right there. Don't be stealing my idea. No, I'm just playing. Okay, so, all right, so those are the sus chords. So we went over diminished. Did we do the augmented? I can't remember if we did augmented, but if I didn't, just take the fifth note and go up a half step. Right? So 1, 3, 5, that's E flat is your fifth note. You take it up a half step, and now you have a flat augmented chord. So I think I did all the 3-finger chords. Okay. So now let's jump to the 4-finger chords now. Okay. So let's start with the major 7. So the major 7, once again, is the 1, the 3, the 5th. I should say, hold up. 1, I'm using the wrong fingers. The 1, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th note of the scale. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? And then you back at 1 again, right? 1, 3, 5, 7. There you go. No different from when we were in the key of C and we did the what? 1, 3, 5, 7. Right? When we was in the key of F, we did what? 1, 3, 5, 7. So you do that in the key of A flat too. 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay. Now, so that's the major 7. So to make this a dominant 7, you do the exact same, the same formula, ladies and gentlemen. You take the 7th note, that's a major 7, and you're going to make it a dominant 7 by just dropping it a half step. Now you have your A flat 7 chord. Remember, when the author or the composer wants you to play a dominant 7, they'll just write A flat and then 7. Okay, if they want you to play the major 7, they'll write it exactly the way you see it on the screen. Okay, major 7, dominant 7. Now, if you want to play the minor 7, now you have to take that third note of the scale and drop that down a half step as well. So there you go. So remember, without this 7th, you just have an A flat minor chord, which I showed you already. We already went over that. So just add that minor 7. Now you have A flat minor 7. But if on your sheet music or your chord sheet, it says to play a flat 5, then you're going to take the 5th note of the scale and do exactly what it says. Flat the 5. There you go. What's the 5th note? The E flat is the 5th note. Flat it. A flat minor 7, but you're playing the flat 5. That's all that means. A flat minor 7, flat 5. Also known as what? Half what, y'all? Half what? It's called what? Who can answer this question for the $10,000 prize? Flat 5 chords is also known as what type of chords? Who can type it first? Who can type it first? Is anybody going to type it? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Y'all like, man, just get on with it. Okay. It's also known as half diminished, y'all. Okay. So flat 5 is half diminished. Now to make it fully diminished, you just simply take that minor 7 and you drop that down as well. So when you drop that down as well, you have A flat diminished 7. So I showed you A flat diminished before. All that is when you're not playing that 7th. But when you add the F or the G double flat, there you go. You have your A flat diminished. So A flat major. Yes, Cream style. That's right, diminished, man. But you were too late. So Pam said it first. Sorry, Pam, y'all was too late, man. The $20,000 is now mine. I'm keeping it. Do I even have 20,000? What am I talking about? Keep. Don't you gotta have it first? But anyway, so okay, major 7, dominant 7, minor 7, flat 5, diminished. Okay, so there you go. So now if you add the 9th note of the scale, now we went back to the major, we went back to A flat major 7. Okay, now add the 9th note, 1 3 5 7. There you go. You add that 9th note. In this case it's a B flat, and you have what? The major 9. Okay, so with that major 9, if you're asked to play a dominant 9, A flat dominant 9, well, start with your dominant 7. Start with A flat dominant 7 and just add the major 9. There you go. A flat dominant 9. So yes, there is a difference between major 9 and dominant 9. Okay. Major 9, dominant 9. Okay. I think that's all I had did. Okay. So that was the key of A flat. What was some of the other keys that y'all said earlier when I said pick a key? Okay, I had D, and then I had A. Okay, I'm gonna do A and D the exact same way, and then after that, we'll stop the lesson for this week, and next week we'll probably go into the 11th chords. Okay, 11th chords next week, and here's a hint: it's almost exact. It's pretty much the exact same thing that you just saw for the 9ths. Okay, so it's not that hard, y'all. It's not that hard. But okay, so we'll do A. Was it D and A, right? So let's start with, we'll start with the key of D, since that's 2 sharps and the key of A is 3 sharps. Hey, is that Jeeve? Welcome. Okay. All right, so let's do the key of D. All right, so let me put my formula back on the screen, because the first thing you got to do is what? The major scale. This is for those that are totally beginners and you don't know anything. Okay, figure out that major scale first. So D major scale. All right, you put your finger on D. Oh, y'all can't see that, right? Y'all can't see that D? Okay, y'all can see that D. Okay, here we go. So put your finger on D, and then you move host. Oh, let me change this to D so it displays sharps. Let me just change this to D. There we go. That's our D major key signature right there. So you play D, right? And then you go whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So that's your D major scale. And if you notice, within that scale, you played 2 black notes. You played an F sharp and a C sharp. It is very important that you remember those 2 notes when we're building the scales. You have to you have to use those accidentals as needed. Okay, so once again, right? Let me just call it out. Whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Ooh, y'all didn't see that note right there. That's what y'all saw, okay? Y'all didn't see that, okay? You did this erase the live stream. You didn't see that, but okay. So that's your D major scale. So you write those notes down. Excuse me. And okay, so you practice that. Okay, so now you have that, in your memory banks. Okay, cool. Now, Oh my goodness, man. I just came back to the screen and I see Mr. Kelly, man. Once again, another $100 super chat, man. This man is the first person to ever support me on Patreon like 4 years ago, man. He said, "Gotta go. Excellent lesson. You're a great teacher." Let me at least put this on the screen for the people in the future to see it. You're a great teacher. Could you leave it up when you conclude? Want to send the link to a friend? Oh yeah, yeah. All my live streams are up, Walter. Yeah, they're all up. This is also good ear training to hear the differences in chords when playing by ear. Appreciate what you do, sir. Back to work for me. Okay. Man, Walter, man, I really, truly, truly, truly appreciate you, man. Thank you so much, man. Definitely. Again, I started a Patreon page. I think it was 2017. He was the very first person to ever sign up. And as y'all can see, this man is just always supporting the channel. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, man. I forgot what I was doing. What was I doing, y'all? I saw that $100. What was I? Was I in the key of Z or S sharp, T flat? What key was I in? I think I was in the key of D, right? Okay. How you doing, James? I think I got everybody. Okay. So revisiting the key of D again. You start with D. And okay, so yeah, we did the scale. I already showed you how to do the scale, right? Okay, and you have to remember that you had F sharp and C sharp. Okay, cool. So now let's take the scale and we're going to play the major chord. Once again, the major chord is the 1, the 3, and 5th note of the scale. Again, and remember, you have to remember which notes you played sharp and flat in that scale. In the key of D, we have sharps. We don't have, in the key of D, you call it the black notes sharp, okay? So 1, 2, 3, right? 4, 5. So 1, 3, 5. So that's your major chord. If you want to turn it minor, all you do is take that 3rd note, which is the F sharp, drop it down a half step. Now you have D minor, right? Major, minor. Okay, now if you want to make it diminished, starting from that minor chord, take the 5th note, which is the A, drop that down a half step as well. D diminished, okay? All right, so there you go. So you have major, minor, diminished, okay? All right, now let's take a look at the sus4 and the sus2 chords. Once again, for the let's go back to the D major chord, okay? To do the sus4, you take the 3rd note of the scale, which is the F sharp, and you raise it a half step. Okay, right? Take it a half step, and there you go. Now you have a D sus4. All right, D major, sus4. The sus2 chord is the 1, 2, and 5th note of the D major scale. That's a sus2. So let's listen to all 3. Major. Oh, sorry about that. Major, sus4, sus2, major. Okay, so we looked at diminished too, right? Did we look at augmented? No, we didn't. So the augmented, to play this chord as an augmented chord, all you do is take the 5th note and raise it up a half step. There you go. D augmented. You know what I'm saying? D major, D augmented. Okay, so that was it. Major, minor, diminished, sus4, sus2, back to the major. Now let's go to the 7th chord. Let's do major 7th. So to do a D major 7, you play the 1, 3, 5, and the 7th note of the D major scale. There you go. And remember when you played the D major scale, it is so important that you remember the accidentals of that scale. When we played the scale, it was 1, 2, F sharp, right? C sharp, D. Okay, so that's why 1, 3, 5, 7. So make sure you play your accidentals correctly, or you will be playing your chords incorrectly. Okay, so there go your major 7, and to make it dominant 7, you take that major 7, drop it down a half step. There you go, dominant 7, major 7, dominant 7. Now to make it a minor 7, you take the third note, which is that F sharp, drop that down as well. All right, so now you have D minor 7. So major, dominant, minor. Okay, now let's talk about flat 5. Is that what we do for? Yeah, let's do the flat 5. So D minor 7 flat 5. All you have to do is take your D minor 7 chord. Sorry about that. Your D minor 7 chord. Take the 5th note and do exactly what it says. Make it flat. D minor 7 flat 5. There you go. D minor 7. D minor 7 flat 5. Okay. And of course, and the flat 5 is also known as half diminished. So this is a diminished chord, but please, when you're reading professional sheet music, and at least if you purchase my chord sheet, if I mean for you to play a half diminished chord, I will write it as flat 5. Okay. If I want you to play a diminished 7 chord, I will write it as DIM in the number 7. Okay. So half diminished, right? And then fully diminishes when you take that minor 7 and drop that down a half step. So let's review all that. Major 7, dominant 7, minor 7, minor 7 flat 5, and then diminished. Okay, there we go. And again, I'm using the same formula that I did in the key of C, did in the key of F, did in the key of A flat. Okay, let's go to our 9th chords. Okay, so if you need to play a D major 9, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 of the scale, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which means if you do extended scale, E will become your 9, right? So major 9. And if you're asked to play a dominant 9, all you have to do is just play your D dominant 7 first. That's your D7, and then just add your regular 9th note. That's all it is. So let me see. Major 9, dominant 9. And if you're asked to play the minor 9, then go ahead on and take your 3rd note and drop that down a half step as well. Minor 9, okay? So there you go. So that's your 9th chords right there. Not all of them, but just an introductory into the 9th chords. Okay, so, well, major 9, dominant 9, minor 9, okay? And then the other key that was asked was the key of A, right? Okay, we're going to do the same thing quickly in the key of A. If you have any questions for me, if you would like to come on this video chat and ask your questions with me, here's the link. Please just remember that there's no cussing. That link will actually bring you on video with me if you want to ask the question. And you don't even have to turn your camera on. You do have to have a microphone on. But you can, whatever, or if you want to ask your questions in the actual chat room, then that's fine. You can post your questions there. Just before you type your questions, let me just finish this lesson first. And then if you have a question, you can put it over there, okay? Is there a difference between sus2 and 2 as in C2? No, there's no difference. It's the same thing. Yeah, C2 is sus2. No, sir. Good question. I should, you know what? I should have mentioned that. I'm glad you said something. Pookie Jenkins. Nope, it's C2, sus2, same thing. Glad you said that. Glad you said that. Okay. It's the same thing. This your C sus2 is also known as C2. Because the 2 just means to add the second note. You know what I'm saying? I guess sometimes the C2, if they say C2, they might actually just want you to play the 1 and the 2, but I'm going to tell you what Richard does. House of Jazz, I usually always add that 5th anyway. I just thought about that. So, yeah. So major 2nd. All right. So, yeah. So you can play it and whenever you see C2, if you play it as a sus2, you'll be fine. But if you do not play the 5th note, you'll be fine with that too. Because you're still in that family. You're still within, if you listen to it, you're still in the family of that chord, of that sound. I'm saying, if you listen. You know what I'm saying? So, good question. Wonderful question. Key of A. Right. Did I do all the stuff in A already? I can't remember. Did I do everything in A? Did I do the scale? I can't remember. Did I? I don't know. I'm getting old, y'all. I don't think we did the scale. So let's do the scale first. So in the key of A, you start with A, then you do a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So that's your A major scale, A major scale. And notice that scale had 3 different accidentals in it. It had a C sharp, F sharp, and a G sharp. So remember that, okay? Remember that. You have to use those notes, okay? Oh, Jewel thinks she got jokes over there, getting, as in getting old or are old. Okay, Kim Jr. Just gonna call you Kim Jr. now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So once you get your scale, okay, so you got your scale locked in. Okay, boom, that's your A major scale. All right, major 7. No, major. I'm jumping ahead now. So your major chord is the 1, 3, 5, right? Okay. And Jay Melody over there laughing at me too. Okay, I see how y'all do. Okay, Lucy. Okay, Lucy. All right, so 1, 3, 5 is your major chord, right? So that's your A major. To make it minor, take the 3rd, drop it down. There you go, A minor. To make it diminished, you take that 5th note and you drop that down a half step as well. Now you have an A diminished chord. So major, minor, diminished. Okay? Now for the augmented chord, go back to your major chord and just take the 5th note and raise it a half step. That's going to be augmented. Okay? So A augmented. Major, minor, diminished, augmented. Okay? Now let's look at the sus2 and sus4 chords. Okay? So going back to the A major, take that 3rd, raise it a half step. Sus4. And of course the sus2 is the 1, 2, 5th note. So there you go, sus2. All right? Major, sus4, sus2, major. I think I took care of all. I did augmented, right? I showed you augmented. Okay. So those are the 3-finger chords. Let's go to the 4-finger chords. Let's look at that major 7 chord. A major 7 is, again, remember your scale. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay? So that's your A major 7. To turn this into a dominant 7 chord, you take that 7th note, drop it a half step. Now you have A7. To make this a minor 7, you have to take your 3rd note and drop that down as well. Now you have minor 7. And remember, if you take this G away, you have A minor, which we looked at already, because remember, this was A major, minor. So all you're doing is just adding the minor seventh of the scale. Okay, so G sharp was the major 7, G is the minor 7. Okay, so major 7, dominant 7, minor 7. Now the minor 7 flat 5 is when you take the 5th note again and flat it. There you go, right? A minor 7 flat 5. Simple enough. And if you need to make this fully diminished, that's half diminished. Fully diminished is when you take that minor 7 and drop it down. I should say that dominant 7 and make it a diminished 7. Okay? All right. So, major 7, dominant 7, minor 7, flat 5. And of course, to make it a major 9 chord, you just add the 9th note of the scale. 1, 3, 5. What is wrong with this software? There. Okay, I don't know what's wrong with the software here, but it's not showing that as a major 9. That's not my fault. Okay, I didn't build the software, but you take the 1st, 3rd, 5th. There we go. I know what was wrong. I played the wrong note. Okay, so 1. I know what was wrong. I played the wrong note. Okay, 1, 3, 5, 7. Remember, I'm not getting old. I'm already old. Okay, so there we go. So 1, 3, 5, 7, and then the 9th note of the scale. So that's your major 9. Okay. And then to make it a dominant 9, all you do is just take that, you take your dominant 7 chord, that's it, and then just add the major 9 on top of it. Okay, so there you go. So you got major 9, dominant 9. Now to make this a minor 9, you just take that 3rd note again, the 3rd note of the scale, and drop that down. There you go. A minor 9, okay? So, major 9, dominant 9, minor 9. Whew, there we go. Beauty of this formula is that as you are trying to get yourself familiar with all of these chords, you can actually do it without having to just download a something off Google. There's like 100, I'm sure 1,000 different sheets you can download that will just show you where this is what the major chord look like. This is what this look like. I believe me when I tell you, it's better to know how to build them yourself because you're internalizing it, and that way you'll be much better. It is a long process to sit here and learn how to play all these chords in every single key. But I promise you, if you are diligent and you take the time to do it, oh my goodness, it's going to be so much. It's going to be amazing. You'll find yourself being able to play any type of pop song and probably most of your church stuff too, if you got fast fingers. You know, some of that church stuff is super fast. But that's it for the lesson for today. So we looked at 9th chords. Next week we'll look at episode 10. We'll look at 11th chords. Okay, so we'll add the 11th chords, and then the week after that, thank you. I needed to hear that. Oh yeah, Pamela, it's a process. It's a process. It's funny that people don't understand what it takes. You know, a lot of times it's like, oh yeah, they just a musician. People don't be like, yeah, it's just a music. It's like, man, it's a lot of work to learn all this stuff. I was fortunate to learn a lot of this stuff as a teenager. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I was, you know, it was just easier because I was young. I'm 44 and a half right now. And I say the half just to let you know that I'm closer to 45 than I am to 44. So actually more than a half. And it's like my mind is not the same. So I'm fortunate that um I learned this, years ago. So just, be patient with yourself. You don't stress yourself. The beauty of my channel is that I have probably over 1,000 tutorials. So as you're learning all this stuff, as you're learning your scales and you're learning the chords, you can always say, well, let me just learn a song that I just like. Oh man, let's look through his channel. I have so many different songs. I honestly don't remember. There's no way I can remember. People will sometimes ask, have you did a tutorial on such and such song? I'll tell them no. They'll come back and say, but hold up, wait a minute. I did a search and you did do it. And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I did. So you can always, take some time. And, it's always nice to just learn a song where you can just, okay, just show me the notes, sir. That's cool because that also teaches you too. You know what I'm saying? To be able to play other people's songs and I'll just show it to you. But don't just stop there. Don't just stop and just say, hey man, show me the notes. Okay, cool. I can play that song now. Come back to these lessons. Like I'm not taking these live streams down. This is episode 9. So all of my episodes are still on my channel. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put it in as a playlist. I don't know. I need to take all these live streams and make a playlist. So hopefully later on tonight, I'll put all of them in the playlist and it will be called Any Questions Playlist. Okay. So that you can find it easier and I'll just have them listed in order. But yeah, take your time. I'm telling you, me knowing like most of the chords in every single key, my fingers can go right to them with no problem. I don't even have to think that hard. It's like my fingers just go. They just go there. And that's muscle memory. That's all it is. So be encouraged. You know what I'm saying? Take your time. I did the lesson. I had to show you everything in the lesson, but you might want to take my lessons and say, well, let me just, study just the first part of the lesson and I'll do the second half later. You don't have to do everything you saw in this lesson. Take your time, develop. And let me say this, I am partnering with a company and I've had 2 meetings with this company. I had a meeting last week, a video chat meeting, and I had a video chat meeting this morning. I'm partnering with a company where I'll be able to teach piano through this company. Okay. And you'll start seeing ads and stuff. I'm gonna start producing ads and stuff. So I'm getting ready to go with a larger company. So if you really want to learn and with through this company, I'm really going to teach like how to sight read, like read music and stuff like that. That's going to be like my primary focus with that because they already have the infrastructure. They have software available and they reached out to me and I'm like, we had to talk business, make sure that this was right. So it looks like everything is checking out. They actually sent the contracts today. So keep a lookout for it. Keep a lookout. It's going to be soon. They emailed the contracts today. I'm going to get some people to look over it, get a lawyer to look over it, make sure everything is cool. And then you'll be able to join that if you want to get into being able to sight read music and going through the piano books and whatever, you know what I'm saying, and learning how to be able to sight read. So that will be coming soon too. So I'm excited about that because that's a great opportunity for me financially and to help to support the channel. So keep a look out for that. Like I said, I've had 2 successful meetings with them. And the man, this morning I had the 9 o'clock. I had to get up out the bed. I had to set my alarm, wake up, go to my tablet, talk with this guy. And this guy like, hey man, check your email. And I'm checking the email and the contracts are there. So keep a lookout for that. We trying to do some big things on the channel. So with that said, let me see. I saw something else said. Start and don't give up. Yes, Jewel, I need you to take your own advice. That's right. For those of you, Jewel is like a baby sister to me, so I can talk to her like that. Stop being lazy well, she actually said it, don't be lazy like her. Time pass anyway. All right. How do 6 chords work? I don't want to go into, well, hold up. Where did I just see that? Thank you. God bless you. Oh, you're welcome, Pam. What else do I see? Start. I thought. Hold on. I'm scrolling up to try to see if I missed anything. First time viewing. Oh, this is your first time viewing, Pamela. Oh, okay. Well, welcome. Welcome to the channel. Thank you. Hopefully you click the subscribe button. Make sure you click the subscribe button. How do 6 chords work? Okay, that's from Jamie. Okay, so 6 chords. All right, and 6 chords is really as simple as the number 6. So I'm gonna show that to you real quick. I'm gonna show it to you in the key of C, and I can do a more detailed lesson on 6 chords later, but I'll show you. It's really as simple as just the way I showed you major 7 and then major 9. I'm like, add the 7th note of the scale, the 9th chord of the scale. Well, before I even show you, just add the 6th note of the scale. Okay, it's real simple. I got you on that one. Having a system is much better than trying to do it by memory. Exactly. Thank you. God bless you. Okay, I saw that. Okay, blah blah blah. Thank you. Just making sure I don't miss anything. I did. Okay. Thank you for subscribing. Appreciate it. Okay. All right. So 6. Let's go back to the key of C real quick. And if you have any more questions, again, if you need to hop on with me, here's the link. If you need to, ask multiple questions, this link will bring you on the video chat with me, and you don't have to have your camera on. You can leave it off if you need to talk to me that way. But okay, 6 chords. All right, 1, 3, 5, 6. There you go. 6 chord. Okay, so in the key of C, C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, 4, 5, 6. So what you want to do is, okay, so now, yeah. So you're literally just playing the 1, 3, 5, and 6th note. Okay, that's all you're doing for the major 6. So for your 6th chord, 1, 3, 5, 6. Okay, there you go. In the key of F, let's look at the key of F because we did the key of F earlier today. You got your, let's do the scale first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember that D. D is 6, right? D is 6. So we know the F major chord. 1, 3, 5. Add the 6. Now you got a 6 chord. Okay. We also did the key of what? We did the key of D, right? All right. Let's look at the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 3, 5, 6. All right. Okay, easy enough. Thank you. You're welcome. I was getting ready to keep going, Jamie. I just looked up and he was like, okay, easy enough. There you go. Real simple. Any other questions? I appreciate y'all sticking around, and the support, man. Walter Kelly, man, again, man, that is not his first time dropping $100 super chat on the live stream, man. So, and again, that man drops a lot of money monthly. He's very, very kind, because he's been, like I say, he's been on my Patreon, the very first member back in 2017, and has never missed a donation. And sends more money than anybody on Patreon too. So it's like more than $20. So I just really appreciate him. And I appreciate everybody else that may be in here that's on my Patreon. If you want to be able to help support me monthly, I have a Patreon. Now, the Patreon link is in all my videos. If you want to know what my Patreon website is, if you want to know what it is, I believe even in this live stream, just click the description box and you'll see it. There's a link there, and you can just give a monthly support. If you choose to do like $5 a month, then what I do is I will give you a chord sheet for every new tutorial that I do from the time you sign up. So let's say you sign up tonight. Now, those of you who are not on Patreon, you have no idea. I actually just did a piano tutorial before I did this live. And you also get early access to tutorials because I just did a Michael Jackson tutorial literally before I started this live part of the reason why I started this live late, because I was editing the video. So like you'll get early access to tutorials, and everybody that has pledged $5 a month, they have the chord sheet. They did not have to pay extra. Usually, if you want a chord sheet, you have to pay $3 for the chord sheet for each chord sheet. But if you give a monthly donation of just $5 to my Patreon, then every time I do a new tutorial, not the old ones, because people be like, "Hey, I just signed up, man. I don't see the other chord sheets." I'm like, just read it. Just read it. This is no trickery. It says it on my Patreon. Every new tutorial, you'll just get the chord sheet. So like 100 different people just got a chord sheet for, I think the song was Rock With You. I did Rock With You by Michael Jackson. I just did that. So, so that's a good way of supporting. And that's me just giving you a little something, something. So, and there's other tiers that you can pledge to, and you can pledge however much you want. So if you are finding my channel, if you're loving my tutorials, and you just like, man, we need to support you, because trust me, YouTube they stingy with that money, man. They stingy with that money. So any support is always appreciated, I should say. And of course, I have the Cash App right here. If you want to just give a one-time donation, the Cash App is there, as well as PayPal. The links to my PayPal is in the description box of all my videos as well. Oh yeah, Rock With You, Pookie. I'm gonna release that one tomorrow, but it's done. It's already, like, if you sign up for Patreon right now, you sign up right now, you'll see. You don't even have to wait till tomorrow. You'll see it right now. Let me see. It says, I am, okay, let me put this on the screen so I can see it better. I don't have the best sight, unfortunately. I am also curious about Bill Evans' chord inversions. We're gonna I did something on inversions on one of my earlier any question live streams, but at that time I didn't have a format in place yet. So now that I'm actually coming out week after week, because this is all like spare of the moment. Like when I said I'm gonna do any questions, I literally just did that at the drop of a dime. And now I'm like, oh, okay, that went well. Let me do it again. So I'm building a format now. So I'll probably look into inversions, because inversions are very important, because all the chords that I showed you just now, I showed you all of them in root position. But we need to really take the time to see that you can actually switch the letters around, and you can play that major 7 chord, like, oh, you can play it this way. Oh, you can play it that way. Or you can play it that way too. The major 9 chord, you can play it this way, that way, this way, that way. So now that we're learning chords, and I've shown you a lot of different chords, probably the next thing I'll start doing is after we go over the 11th chords next week, and then we'll probably go over 13th chords 2 weeks from now, then we'll really start looking at different inversions of the chords. I'm not familiar with Bill Evans' chord inversions just off top of my memory, but I'm sure his inversions are just inversions. So a chord inversion is a chord inversion. So if you could provide more analysis of them, for example, A minor 9, A, E. So you said A, E, B, C, E. Okay. All right. Well, let me just do that real quick. Well, let's just take a look at it. Well, hold up. You said A, E, B, C. Okay, let's take a look at this, because we did learn the minor 9 chords today, right? So this is actually good for this. Okay, let's take a look at it. Now let's go back and let's look at the A minor 9 in its root position first, and then we'll come back to that inversion that's right there. Now, the notes that are in the A minor 9. Now again, this is our A major 9 chord, and we already went over that. So then this will be our A minor 9 chord, right? So the notes that are in A minor are A, C, E, G, and B. Keep now, Right now, this is root position. I'm playing the chords in root position. Okay. However, you do not have to play this C right here. Let's say you might want to say, you know what? I don't like to play the C. I want to play the C up here. Well, guess what? If you play the C up here, it's still an A minor 9 chord because you're playing what? A, C, E, G, B. Now you might say, well, I don't want to play this B right here. I don't like it. I don't like it. So I want to play it right here. Okay. So, okay. But this is still an A minor chord. Why is it still a minor chord? Because we're still playing A, C, E, G, and B. So no matter what order we play these notes in, as long as we're playing those notes, it's still going to be an A minor chord. Let's say I don't want to play this E right here. I don't like that E. I think it's ugly. This E is ugly. I want to play it up here. Okay. Sorry about that. It is still an A minor 9 chord because you're playing A, C, E, G, and the B. So you're playing all that. Well, I'm playing 2 B's right there. I can play the B right here. Look, I can play the B right here, or I can play the B down here. So that's all chord inversions are. Chord inversions is literally that. You can just take all those notes and you can invert them. You can play them in any order. So now that you understand that concept, let's go back to what's on the screen right now. He said A, he said E, B, C, E. Oh, dang, I just played it and didn't even realize it. Did I play that? Hold on. A, E, B, C, E. Well, we're missing something. Well, something is missing right there that's making it a 9. Now, I'm just playing what he has on the screen, okay? So let's take a look at what he has on the screen. So he has the A. That's the 1. The C is the 3. Why am I playing? Oh, you wrote down E twice. So I'm playing E 2 different times. Okay, I'm playing E 2 different times. So 1, 3. I'm playing the 5 2 different times. And the 7 would be G. Okay, so we need a G. So instead of playing, if I play this G right here, there we go. Let's play it like this. Now, if you do this, that's going to be an A minor 9 because now we got the A. That's the 1. E is the, C is the 3. C is the 3. E is the 5. G is the 7. B is the 9. So that will be a C minor 9. All we did was just change the inversion of C minor 9. On some of my tutorials, I actually play that inversion quite often, actually. When I want an A minor 9, sometimes I'll play a C major 7 chord on my right hand, and then I just put an A on my left hand. That's how I usually play my A. I know y'all can't see my fingers, but my left hand is just playing A, then my right hand is just playing a C major 7. So sometimes I'll play the minor 9 like that, but then other times I'll just, I'll play it like that. So, yeah, hopefully that answered your question right there. So, like, the minor, it doesn't matter the order that you play the notes. Now, one of the main things you want to keep is make sure that the foundation, like whatever you're playing on your left hand, now you need to keep the A there. If you want to do some type of A chord, make sure your left hand is, is holding down the A. Okay. I just did all that and y'all couldn't even see my fingers. I am so sorry, y'all. I had that dumb thing on the screen. Y'all probably was telling me. So you played the 7th before, I believe. Okay. Don't really fit in. Okay, perfect. Thanks. My doubt mostly had to do with the fact that chord inversions are usually categorized. Oh yeah, first. Okay, and I remember going over this on a I'm trying to, how do I get this thing off the screen? Okay, there we go. All right, I'm trying to, first, second, and third inversion. Exactly. They do have names. Let's take a look at real quick, just because he said first, second, and third inversion. The only thing, excuse me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the C down here just so I can have a little bit more freedom with the inversions. So C is 1, and then you got your E is going to be the 3, G is the 5, B is the 7. So there go your C major 7. Now the first inversion is when you take the third note, right? You take the third note and you play the third note as the root note of the chord. So if you take away the left hand, I'm basically playing an E minor chord, right? So without my left hand, the E is now being played as the root note. Okay? Now, when I bring the C in, you know, you got C major. So let me do this. Okay, this is better. This is a better example. And it's still the same thing. You see how I have the E as the root? So the E is the third note. Ordinarily in root position, C is the first, E is the third note, G is the fifth note. But when you take that third note and place it in a first position, so instead of playing the E right here, I play it down here, right? And now I'm going to take this G and play it down here, but that G is not making it a first inversion. The reason why we call that first inversion is simply because I took the third note and I'm playing it as a root position. So that's why, and on the screen it says C over E, because basically you're playing C, E, G. It's still a C major chord. And if you put the C in the bass, it's still a C major chord. That's called first inversion. Now, when you take the fifth note of the scale, so in the key of C, the fifth note is the G. Now, when you play that G and put that in a root position, so that means you put the G right there as if the G is the root position, that's called second inversion, okay? So this will be C major, well, this is root position, right? So that's root position, first inversion, second inversion, right? So you got, and you can go up the whole piano and keep playing C major different ways. You know what I'm saying? You can like first, second, first. Well, root first, second, root first, second. Third inversion is when you're dealing with the seventh note of the scale. Okay, so the seventh note, major 7. Like, okay, so C major 7. If I take the seventh note and play that as a root note, okay, there we go. Now you have third inversion. Okay, and of course, if I take my left hand and bring a C down here, they're just going to say, okay, yeah, you're playing a C major 7. Cool. But if you take that C away, I have that seventh note as the root note. So when you do that, that's called third inversion. So root position, first inversion, second inversion, third inversion. Now, of course, if you have a C down on each of those chords, my screen should show you it's a C major chord. No matter, it'll show you all the C chords. So C, first inversion, it still says C. Second inversion still says C. Now, if I do the C major 7, root position, right? And then if I put the B right there, it still says it's a C major 7. Okay, so that's all that is. Yeah, inversions have names, but at the end of the day, like I say, you can screw around with those as long as you have all the proper letters in there. You're straight, not just straight, but straight. All right. Haha, yes, except for the plate the 7th before. Okay. Bill Evans leaves out the 7th. Yes, you don't always have to play every single note of every chord. Man, y'all, I'm so appreciative of y'all saying this stuff because you're giving me ideas of future lessons. That's correct. That's correct. You don't always have to play every single note in order, like you don't have, okay, so what were we talking about? If you notice, hold up, no, that's not what I meant to do. Here's an example. Look at if you look at this, the screen is calling this a C major 7 chord. But if you notice, I'm leaving one of the notes out. But it's still considered a C major chord, because for a major chord, you do not have to add the third. Okay? The way I've been teaching it so far, which is still in my opinion, the best way to start teaching chords, is to show you all the proper notes. So yes, 1, 3, 5, 7 is the major 7 chord, but as well, the 1, 5, 7 is all you need for it to be, because it's still considered a major chord. You can drop that. So let's look at the key of F. In the key of F, if you don't play the third, but you play the 1, 5, 7, it's still considered a major 7 chord, whether you playing the third or not. Thank you for saying that. I know that's going to be one of my episodes. We're going to look at that. We're going to look at once we finish building all the chords, we'll go back and we'll look at which notes are actually mandatory. We're going to look at mandatory. Right now, I'm just teaching you the basic chords, but that's good. That's a good lesson. Thank you. Thank you so much. That when you see that episode pop up, you're going to be like, ha, 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 you got that idea from me. And I'm going to be like, no, I came up with it myself. Okay. Let me see. I'm just kidding, man. We'll just A minor 9. What inversion of A minor 9 with A, E, B, C. Well, this is so that's the whole thing. You can't really call it a 9 unless you have that 7, right? Yeah, you have to have the 7th in there. So technically it's not even a 9 if you're not, I said the 7th, but I meant to say the 7. Yeah, without the 7 in there, it's not even a 9 anyway. So you can't even call it a 9. Yeah, you have to have the 7th note in there, the 7th note, in order for it to be a 9. You can't just omit it and still say it's a minor 9. You know what I'm saying? It's an added 2. 9 and 2 are the same notes. Let me explain that for a second. Let's look at the key of C. Look at the key of C for a second. C is 1, D is 2, right? Now check this out. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Notice that D is still a 9, so your 2 notes are also known as your 9 notes, so keep that in mind, okay? So yes, this is called, so when you play it the way you typed it on there, you said A, just want to make sure I don't mess up, A, E, B, C, right? And then you played another E on top, but adding another E on top. Okay, that's called an A minor with an added 2, because if you do not, sorry, I'm looking at, okay, I just got a notification. If you do not add the minor 7, then you call the note an added 2. You call the D, hold up. This B will be known as the second note. Because remember in the key, well, in A, B is 2, right? Look at the scale of A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back to 1. So B is the 2. In the key of A, B is 2. So again, A, E, B, C, another E. So they're calling this an added 2 because you're playing the B. This B right here is the 2, but you omitted the 7th. Okay? Now, when you add the seventh note, now they call it a 9. So that's why I say this is good for a whole different lesson. This will come up in a couple of weeks, so it'll probably be like 3 or 4 weeks before we get there. So hopefully that gives you a little jump start. A jump start. I'll just leave it there as like a little jump start. So order does not really. No, the order doesn't matter. The order doesn't matter. Nope. Haha. I will be looking forward to it. Okay. All right. Cool beans, y'all. Any other questions? If not, I'll be getting off, man. For those of you, I don't know. I know Jewel, if you're still in here. I know I just made her. I didn't make her, but I just got her into the show of Big Brother. I don't know how many of y'all watched Big Brother. The first time I watched Big Brother was season 2, and they're in season 23 right now. Well, the finale is tonight, and it starts at 9 o'clock. So it's 8:30 now. And I've been on since what, 6:40, 6:45. So I think I've done my time, right? Yeah, hour and 40 minutes. So if there's no other questions, I'm gonna go ahead on and hop off tonight. Keep in mind that I'm doing 2 live streams now. So this live stream midweek is for any questions and like lessons, theory lessons and piano lessons. So that's what I do. Saturday, I've been doing live streams on Saturdays for like probably over 2 years. So Saturday is not like we're not like learning theory or whatever. Saturdays is us just enjoying music, and a lot of times we're recreating our favorite songs, and we usually have some type of theme. So if you like just sitting back and listening to some of your, songs that maybe you might like, but hearing us recreate it, it's a small group of us that like to collaborate with one another, and we, or we just do our own stuff. This Saturday, we will be doing, wedding songs. So songs that you would normally hear at a wedding, and we're including the reception too, so that it's not all slow songs. Because usually at a wedding, during the actual wedding, it's usually slow songs. At a wedding, you usually don't be hearing "Get Down on It." Now I know sometimes some of our people, you know what I'm saying. They the bride might come down the aisle just like that. You know what I'm saying. But traditionally, you don't necessarily see that all the time. You don't see that. So, so to keep it so that it's not all slow songs, I'm like, okay, we can do some reception songs from the reception. So if you would like to hear some of our recreations of songs that you would normally hear at weddings, join us on Saturday evening. I'm not going to sit up here in front. Usually the live stream starts late. I try to start it between 9 and 9:30. That's my goal. I tried it, but sometimes it doesn't start to 10 o'clock. But I'm on the East Coast, so I'm talking Eastern Daylight Time. So sometime after 9 p.m., if you're subscribed to my channel and you click that notification bell, as soon as I start the live, you will receive a little notification that says, "Hey, Big Head is live." You know what I'm saying? So definitely come hang out. We just have a good time and just listen to music. Elo 1467, he's one of the people that does music with us sometimes on Saturdays. You say you have a question. Hey, how y'all gonna come with questions? Like I've been giving y'all like an hour to chance. But let me see the questions. All right, let me get these questions. Elo, what's your question? A Cedric says, how would you do F sharp minor 7 with the 9? Well, that's just a F sharp minor 9. I can show you that real easy. Hold on. Also, is this a real chord? F sharp minor 9, 6 with a question mark. It's to say is if it's a real chord. Elo is just playing. Okay, well, let's take a look at the F sharp. Let me go to the F sharp key signature first. And the F sharp is nothing but, okay, so you got to look at we're not going to break down the scale. I'll just show it to you. So that's your F sharp. Now, what did you ask? You said, I don't know what the parentheses on the 9 means. I don't know if that, usually when you see that, that's still, they're just saying play the F sharp, like usually it means F sharp minor 7, but then that parentheses usually is just saying, if it doesn't say anything, it's just saying add the 9, because you got that and you got that. But you know what I'm saying? So I would just say it's just the minor 9. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if sometimes I see that in sheet music, and when I play just the minor 9, it still sounds like the song. Now, your other question was, now adding the 6, 1, 3, 5. Oh, I just did the 6, 9. Well, F sharp minor 6 is just the 1, 3, 5, 6 note. But then, of course, if you add the 9, they'll call it a 6/9 chord. And the reason why they're calling it a 6/9 chord is simply because you're playing the 6th note and the 9th note of the F sharp scale, F sharp minor scale. But you said, is there, hold up, 9th and the 9th, 6th, is that right? Sorry, I guess that they have both a 9th and a 6th. I mean, if you have a 9 and a 6, you'll see this on professional sheet music. You'll see something that will say F minor 6 9, and you even with the major, you'll see F sharp 6 9. So that's major, and then that's the minor. So I guess that's what you were talking about. Just a real quick. I guess that's what you're talking about. I don't know. Let me know if I answered your question or not. Let me know if you answered your question. But when you see 6 9 like that, that literally just means to play the 6th note of the scale and the 9th note. What's up? Oh, what's going on, Shays? Oh, I never used that. I never used that app. I know First Sons Motif did a review on that app recently, but I haven't used it, so I don't know. Haven't used it, so I don't know. But not Joe, or not Jay. I'm sorry, not Jay part 2. Hi, not Jay part 2. Okay, so I'm waiting. I'll let me see. I got a few more minutes before Big Brother comes on tonight. The final episode of Big Brother is tonight, y'all. The winner will be crowned, and I've been watching all season long, and I want to see who's going to win. A black person is going to win for the first time ever on the regular on the regular Big Brother. Tamar Braxton won Celebrity Big Brother like 2 years ago, but no one has, a black person has never won the regular Big Brother. And tonight is guaranteed. We have 3 black people left in the house. So on CBS, if y'all got CBS, 9 o'clock, it's going to be live. We're going to have crown the first black winner. So I have to make sure I see that. Can I implement rhythm in my, what you mean implement rhythm in your playing? You got to play the rhythm. I mean, are you talking about like, I forgot what I just played. I mean, technically that's rhythm. I mean, I'm not sure if I actually understand. Okay, like instead of playing just chords, what else can I play to add movement to my chords? I mean, sometimes you can throw in passing chords and go back to the what's the song that I do that with sometimes? I'm trying to think of. I don't know if you're talking about something like that. Like if you have a chord and you're going. So my chord is really an A flat major chord, but to add a little rhythm to it, I'm going to a G flat chord first on my right hand. I don't know if this is what you're talking about, like as opposed to just going. Okay, when I play "How Great Is Our God," for those of you that know that song, a church song, that's an example of what I do. So God, sing with me, how great is our God. Oh, see how great is our God. Now that song doesn't really do, but whenever I play it, I always play it like that. That's an example of me adding rhythm. That's not even in the original song. Not that I've ever heard. That's just when I've been playing that song for years. I play it at church, and I'll just go, is our God. Sing with me, how great is our God. Oh, see how great is our God. So I don't know if that's exactly what you're talking about or not. So I don't know. Like instead of playing just okay, so hopefully that answered your question. It's I guess as you become more familiar with what you're playing. Okay, so let's say if let's say you're playing a song, right, and the song requires you, and I think I just did. I remade the song "Always" by Mid-Atlantic Star last week and sung it with Nisha, for those of you who know. And I was like, and I'm trying to think. At some point in that song, I had to go from a C major chord to A minor, right? A minor 7. So what I did, which I don't even think is in the recording, I went. Now that was what you call a passing chord. And that, I guess that's adding rhythm to it. So instead of just going, I went. You know what I'm saying? Or, of course, if it's a more of a up-tempo song, you can always add rhythm by just chopping the chord up. Now, what I did right there is went to a 5 chord and went to 1 again. So I went C major, and then that's like a G chord right there. This is an inverted G chord. Now, we just talked about chord inversions. This is a first inversion G major chord. Why is it first inversion? Because your G major chord is usually G, B, D. But instead of playing the G down here, I played the G up here, which means the third note of the scale is the root. So that's a G major chord, right? And I was playing C, so I went. So that's another way you can add rhythm. And all that is when you're playing the key of C, if you play a 5 chord, if you're playing a G chord, that's actually going to the 5, right? Because in the key of C, C, D, E, F, G, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. G is the 5 of C. So you can go. So that's another way. Now I kept the root at C. I still kept the C, so that's basically G over C back to C. So that's another way you can do like rhythm and using like chords and stuff like that. I mean, I'm just giving examples. Not really sure if I'm answering your question though, but maybe some people out there might be getting some ideas of what they can do. Like when playing 1 chord for 2 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. I hear other notes from the chord a certain rhythmic way. So you can play octaves. I don't know if that's what you're talking about. Like if you have to hold that, let's say you got a C major. Oh, I'm not. Okay, let me put this back to C since I'm in the key of C. Okay. So if you have a C major 9 chord, C major 7, we'll keep it simple. And you said, so let's say you have to hold it for 2 bars, like you say. Okay, so you got to hold it 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's an example. Now you said one chord for 2 bars. I hear others play notes from the chord a certain rhythmic way. Like so. They might be doing that. Like that. Is this an example of what you're talking about? All I'm doing, at least with those 2 chords, all I'm doing is playing random notes that's already in the chord. So I play, here's C major 9. Okay. So C major 9. On my left hand, I'm doing C. On my right hand, I'm doing D, E, G, and B. Okay. So that's my C major 9. And then as I'm playing, sorry, my throat started itching all of a sudden. I don't know. So I know that's like annoying to some of y'all, but oh well, my throat itch. But anyway, so then as you, okay, so you got to hold it for 8 counts. 1, 2. So all I'm doing is just playing the same notes. I'm not even taking my fingers off the notes that I'm playing. Can you see what I'm doing? See, you see that it's the same notes that's already in the chord, and I'm just randomly just filling it out. But it's the notes that I'm already, it's the exact same notes that I played. I played the chord already. Now I'm just going, and I'm totally random with it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's helping. Just random 7. Everything seems so intention. Not for me. Like I half the time I've had, and I think I remember this question from last week. Half the time I've done tutorials before, and people will say, when you played the song at the beginning of the video, you did like a whole bunch of stuff between this chord and that chord, but when you break the song down, you just said, like, they'll say, like, you say F major 7. Well, you said F, C major 7. And then you said, okay, so C on the left hand, B, E, G on the right hand. And then you said the next chord is A major 9, and you said F on the left hand, A, C, E, G on the right hand. And they're like, but you did a whole bunch of stuff in between those chords. What is it that you did? And a lot of times I would respond saying, I really don't know what I did because it's random. But I can tell you that usually, probably 99.9% of the time for me, for Richard Butler, I'm just playing the notes that are already down. So this is the first chord, right? Let me make it a major 9. So what notes do I have down already? I have a B down, a D, a E, and a G. I have it down already. So I'm just playing with these notes over here. So and then the next time I might go different rhythm. So sometimes it can just be rhythm. It's not the same thing. Sorry. See, I did something different that time. Not as busy. Not as busy. Now I'm getting busy. If you notice, I still played every note, so I don't know if that is it or not, if that's what you're asking for. But I can't really explain what I'm doing because it's totally random. It's just whatever I feel. Okay, yeah, I gotta hold this chord for 8 beats. This is boring. Now there are some songs when you're doing pop songs and R&B songs where you don't want to be busy. You literally want to hold the chord, because if you get too busy, like let's say you're playing for a major R&B artist or something like that, and all of a sudden, they literally like, nah, hold that joint, dude, and you start gonna look back at you and be like, man, get this clown out of here. You know what I'm saying? So I guess it depends on what situation you're into. Wait, this is a cheat code. I'm gonna pull this out on Thanksgiving and let my people think I learned my instrument final. Hey Jewel, you say this is a cheat code? Please. This okay, well then I've been using this cheat code since around 1993, 94 when I started playing the piano. I've been using that cheat code for a long time. Improvisation. Yeah, Pam. Circle of fourths exercise. What do you do? Well, do you understand what circles are for? Do you understand the concept of fours? You got C, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So then you got F is the 4. Then you got 1, 2, 3. So then that becomes 4. B flat, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? E flat, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's C flat, not B. So, like, okay, if you're moving in fours, right? So if you start in the key of C, C major, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So that means F major chord. And then you're moving in fours, 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be a B flat chord. Okay. Moving in fours, 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go, E flat. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's telling you to play an A flat major chord. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you notice that every time I'm going to 4, I'm playing the scale of that key. When I started in C, I used the C scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, because that's the C major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, when I go to F, in the key of F, 1, 2, 3, 4. In the key of F, B flat is the 4, not B natural, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that's not it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so the a 4 from F is B flat. So that means play a B flat major chord. Okay, then I go 1, 2, 3, 4, playing the B flat scale, B flat, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because in the B flat, you have to play E flat as well. So now E flat is the 4, right? Then going from E flat, playing the E flat scale. Now I'm on A flat. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, D flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, G flat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that's going to be C flat. C flat is like the same as a B major chord, because C flat is just B. And then from there, 1, 2, 3, 4. After that, you're done at C flat, really. I mean, you can keep going, but really after C flat, you're there, because you went from C to C flat. I mean, now what was the question? Now, I showed you what moving in fours are. What do you do? Okay, well, I guess that's one of the things you can do. I mean, I don't know. That's something you can do. I just kind of made that up on the spot. I ain't even gonna lie. Any tips you recommend for more advanced players? How advanced are you? I mean, are you saying that if you were sitting in front of a keyboard right now and I said play a C6/9 chord, you would be able to play it? You know what that is? I gotta get ready to get off here, so I'm looking at my clock because Big Brother about to come on soon. But I'm trying to hang in there for y'all. You can do that, okay? So how advanced are you? Let me ask you that. Like, can you explain to me, like, what is it that you understand? What is it that you don't understand? Maybe that can help me give you a better answer, because I guess that's an individual answer. Like, more advanced players. Okay, you got advanced players, but that's still a personal thing. It's like, okay, maybe this person is advanced, but they only know this much. This person is advanced, but they only know that much. This person is advanced, they only know this much. You know what I'm saying? Let's say if you're saying that this is the beginning, if this is a newbie, a beginner, this person compared to this person is an advanced person. But then this person that's right here, I know y'all can't really see. Y'all get what I'm trying to say. So it really depends on just how advanced you are. I know everything from the number system to altered chords to Lydian dominant scales. Well, okay, well, I understand everything. I'm asking for more advanced ideas when playing like inner movements or like, oh, triad pairs. My goodness. Yeah, you might be on the wrong channel, man. You might be more advanced than me. um yeah, you might be more advanced than me. I might can't really help you with that, because it's like, whoa. I used to do, now I went to college for music. I was a music major. I remember learning all of those different, having to know all those skills. You couldn't pass music theory without knowing all that stuff. But do I remember all that? It's like, because I don't use it in my everyday playing, and I'm not a classical piano player. I was classically trained as a vocalist. I was a vocal music major in college. So I did not have like, I took basic piano classes, yeah, because what if you major in music, you have to take, basic piano 101 or whatever. But I didn't have like the 101 instruction. My 101 instruction was voice. So I'm classically trained as a vocalist. I'm not classically trained as a pianist. So yeah, you may be I'm 13. No way. Oh, you only 13? Well, yeah, I might need to take your class, man. Well, I understand. Okay. Wait, what? I'm 13. No way. Yeah, I might need to take your class, man. I might have to take your class. Okay, Chord Master. Okay, what's going on? All right, y'all. Well, I am about to call it an evening, because in 4 minutes, Big Brother is about to start. I got one of my favorite frozen pieces still sitting in the freezer. I'm going to pop that sucker in the oven. I got some Zevia drinks, and I'm going to sit back, and I'm going to enjoy 2 hours of Big Brother. Let me say heat, man. Stuff. Man, my friend is learning stuff from you, and he's learning from me. Well, I'm glad. Well, that's wonderful, man. It's like, it's just a circle. That's what the channel was for. That's what the channel was always initially. It was just to help people. So, you know what I'm saying? All of us can help each other. A lot of times I actually have other people on that might pop up on here with me, and we all try to help each other. Sometimes somebody asks a question, and somebody that's on the screen with me might wind up, helping with the answer or giving their perspective. So yeah, it's a community, man. This channel is a community. I'm very proud of the fact that we're a community, and it's a small group of us that kind of just really kind of hang out now virtually. We virtually hang out. We talk to each other almost daily in a private chat that's outside. It's like, yeah, we're definitely a community. So wonderful. Emotion, how you doing? How you doing, Emotion? How you doing? Okay. All right, y'all. Yes, Juella. And I will be texting you, Jules, so keep your phone close by. I might even call you if it gets too crazy. Like if Big D all of a sudden it's like wins, expect a phone call from me. Expect a phone call from me. I'm always checking you out. Okay, well, wonderful emotion. I appreciate you checking me out, and you know what I'm saying. If y'all are not subscribed, definitely make sure you subscribe to the channel. Again, if you want to support financially, I do have a Patreon. The information, the link is down in the description box. And like I said, there are like a benefit. Like if you pledge $5 a month, you'll get chord sheets, and you do not have to pay extra for them for every new tutorial I create. So if you join right now, tomorrow I already finished the Michael Jackson tutorial. If you join tonight, then when that tutorial goes out, you'll get that chord sheet. You don't have to send me an extra $3. So if I do 8 tutorials in 1 month, if you were to buy a chord sheet for each one of those things, that would ordinarily cost you 8 times 3 will be what, $21, right? But just for a $5 donation, that $5 will get you all 8 of those chord sheets. So, you know, so that's like a little benefit. So if you want to support, definitely. All right, you're on lockdown, okay? And guess what, y'all? It is 8:59 my time, so I am signing out. Make sure you join us on Saturday. Jewel, sweetheart, I will be texting you like crazy. Keep that phone close to you. All right, the rest of y'all, we're out of here, and I will catch y'all Saturday somewhere between 9 and 9:30-ish Eastern Standard Time. I will be live again with the House of Jazz family, and we'll be listening to recreations of some of our favorite wedding songs, all right? But for right now, I bid you all a wonderful good night.